All right, here we go. Our first promotion series. We've got JDG versus LNG. Game number one. All right, interesting coming out of the draft. There's a couple adaptations that we want to look at. One is that we see Zeri going into the Alistar Kai'Sa lane. Alistar being the number one most present support in the game for Worlds, Rakan being shortly after, but we've got the classic Lulu Zeri here. So they are definitely just looking to outscale, take advantage of a potential weakness. If Gala decides to go for the lethality build on Kai'Sa, then Ruler will be able to outscale going into these team fights. So I expect to see on hit from Gala in response. We also have Orianna and Akali. Akali is definitely supposed to have a field day into these control mages, and this might be one of those games where we actually prefer to see static shiv because you already have such insane scaling from Camille in the side lanes. You just want to make sure that you have all that burst up in front, but most likely that's not going to happen. We're probably going to see Rocket Belt and Sork Shoes for this game, maybe a Merc Treads. Probably not, though. Just wants to make sure that she can deal damage to the backside. This is probably the most interesting thing right here. We've got Ignite from Cassante saying, hey, this is what I need for this lane. I absolutely want to dominate this. I'm still keeping the teleport, but most importantly, when we do get into those side lanes, the path that Camille tends to take is Divine Sunder into Ravenous Hydra, and once she has those two items, she can be a menace for tanks, right? She just says, all right, I can go up, I can trade with you, I can use Q2, which is true damage that is going to go through all of your resistances, and then I'm going to heal up through the wave. So Cassante says, I don't want you to do that. I want to be able to actually fight you, and that's why he's bringing Ignite to this. We'll see how much side laning they end up doing against each other. We certainly have the opportunity for having a 1-3-1 composition here, where Akali and Camille could go into the side lanes. So Cassante definitely wants to be strong enough. Orianna, this is one of her big weaknesses, is that she cannot side lane. All right, she has to go and just clear the side and then rejoin the team. She is too slow, and she needs to get too big. Too much of her kit goes into the ally shielding, and you just can't survive into the side lane against these two champions that can take you out from distance as well. So expect to see Orianna in the short lanes. All right, whichever lane she can just go out, push out a wave, and then rejoin her team. That's what they're going to do. JDG is also going to try to set up for vision for them. Now we see Alistar's weakness here, and JDG capitalizing right off the bat with a fast plate. 3 minutes in. This is taking advantage of the fact that Lee Sin is presumed to start going towards top lane. Vi doing a top to bottom clear means that they're going to be covered for this. It also means that Orianna actually could just push this wave in as she's doing and then come over for roam. We haven't seen this, but a 4v2 is on the table at this timer if everyone is succinct, right? If everyone decides like, hey, we can do this by moving together, then they can go for this play. Now, Zeri is super strong in this melee scuffle. Whenever you get in the middle of the minion waves, one of the things that she does so much better than Kai'Sa and why she can play into this matchup is because she can deal damage through the minion wave, and not just that, but actually clear the minion wave while the fight goes with the pass-through damage during her E activation. So love to see JDG stepping out to a very early advantage here. Gets the CS advantage, gets the damage lead, gets the plate. Means that Zeri's going to try to get herself a nice recall, and once she does, she'll be able to play from ahead in this situation. Now, Orianna versus Akali, very much an all or nothing sort of thing for Akali. Generally has to wait till level 6 before she can take it over. It's not like Fizz that can start playing for lethal trades starting at level 3. Akali really wants to have level 6 to go for those. Now, Fleet Footwork is a concession to the lane. But the fact that she used Potion and has Doran's and sat on that and still got pushed out and still didn't get a great buy is kind of concerning for them. It looks like LNG is willing, or Scout particularly, is willing to trade HP for CS early on, saying, I just need to get my first couple items. I just need to make sure that I have enough health to get you at level 6. Fastest spike is going to be Pen Boots, right? Sorcerer's Shoes. And she is lethal at that point. We'll see whether or not she opts for that option. And then right now, probably not sitting on enough gold. It's just not going to be impossible for her. Going to hit level 6 off of this wave since they both used their teleport to get back into the lane. I believe neither of them missed a minion, but we'll find out in a moment if either of them does not get 6 right here. Last year's paraphernalia. We were able to go to the World Championship with our son last year. It was a wonderful time. Good to have some memories from that, although we did catch COVID. So we had there were some downsides to it, and in fact the whole family got it. So it was good times, but we can pretend that the 4 weeks that followed didn't suck. Kanavi rotating over is still level 5, no chance at level 6. This is pretty quick level 5. She is giving up a window to maybe go for a fast 6 here by trying to go for scuttle into reverse clear. But basically there's no downtime here because Vi already has all of her camps cleared. So she knows that she has about 45 seconds that she can spend before the camps are going to be respawning. By starting with your small camps and making sure that those are down, you ensure that you get a second clear of them off before the respawns, and then you'll have the third respawn up in time. So we're looking at this one coming up. We might see a complete reverse clear here, and then we're going to see a level 7 Vi going into the bot lane. Some other adaptations that she might make, she might decide to go to the Scuttle Crab first, or she might decide to just take these two and then get red and come over for the dragon. Now, having Zeri means that you're much more explosive around this Rift Herald pit, so we'll see if JDG decides to opt everyone into the Herald. The play usually starts here at 6:30 to 7 minutes. If you can get succinct pushes this lane, then Vi can come over, help to push this lane, rotate over, get all the pushes into the recalls. It looks like Lulu's sitting down here, and Zeri has returned to this lane, so they definitely want to stay in this position and continue the push over here in bot lane. Lee Sin reacting or supposing that there's a chance that they might go for Rift Herald, opts to take the dragon fairly cleanly. Like we've said all tournament, dragons are fake, all right? Not only are you spending the time and the resources to get this and not really getting the experience or gold compared to what the enemy team is doing. For example, Vi got multiple camps down and had the threat of potentially going to her lanes. But also as you go, this is a stacking 7% damage debuff on the dragon. So even when you do get soul, that means that when you go to fight for Elder, you're dealing 28% less damage to the Elder Dragon. Makes it that much less likely that you're able to hold the pit and get those like smite combo executes at the end without using true damage. Now they do have a Camille, so they might try to do a Q2, at which at that stage in the game probably deals like 1,000 damage, 900 to 1,100 damage, depending on which build she goes. And they may try to combine that with smite to try to get it. Obviously, that's a long way to go. But what JDG is going to try to do is every time that the enemy team leans over for a dragon, they're going to try to get extra permanent pressure on the map, permanent structural damage that can help them actually win the game. Let's see if we get that right here. All right, here's the Cassante versus Camille interaction. Cassante will always be able to pull the Camille outside of her own ultimatum, which frees up the space. It means that she's able to take this. Look at this fight breaking out. Akali's going to feel super strong here. Not conquer Akali, so she's not going to be able to go all the way in, or is she? No, there we go. That's going to be the end of it. Lee Sin dropping means that's going to be the end of Akali. Sees Kanai. Oh my goodness. What is the range on that extra attack? Wow. Wait, and didn't get the Herald? What is this? It dropped right as she was going for it. Oh my goodness. Did they are they the one? I'm assuming they're the ones that got the kill here. Actually, it just looks like Rift Herald dies in the middle of this grand melee. It dies to ancillary damage. Oh my goodness. All right. It's worth fighting this, watching this fight again. You see how Missing gets the maximum amount, spends all their HP. Kanavi, same thing. But look at how she ends up dying here. So one hit moves over. The empowered auto attack range, that is so tremendously long. Scout trying to go over. Obviously, they're not going to be able to do anything better than that. They are going to die, so I don't mind that they actually go for it. But it does go down right at that moment. Ruler surfing, taking the fast way back to lane. And here's the 1v1. Gala, oh, gets that big chunk, right? So once you have the HP lead, Kaisa can take the advantage here. Ends up popping, moving the minions further forward before going for the all-in. That is a very nice and precise usage of your time. This right here, the difference between getting that kill cleanly and getting out is moving that minion wave up, right? You just move it up away from the turret a little bit. It allows you to spend a little bit more space to chase the Zeri and get that kill. That isolated Q damage was the difference in that trade. Anytime, you know, these guys are playing to the smallest margins. Anytime you can get more value out of your spell than you're supposed to be able to get, that's when you can look for these all-ins. And that's what they are hanging on the balance. But look at that auto attack. And Scout didn't even miss a beat. You see that? Like, it was hit and move. It's like he never even stopped moving. That's kind of crazy. All right, so what are going to be the residual effects? No one got the Rift Herald, but we did get the 300 gold on the death. Didn't see who actually got the kill credit for it because, again, it just happened in the middle of that grand melee. Probably was Knight, honestly, because he just used the command Shockwave. So that was probably just the source of all the damage that came through. I didn't see the smites. Zeri having lost means that Gala will be a point of strength for them, but that will be erased right there. And oh my goodness, we also have a canceled teleport, so there's no counterplay being used here. That means Zeri, Ruler's going to get enormous off of this play. Zeri, by the way, guys, yes, super nerfed, but still has the consummate AD carry kit, right? Self-peel, AoE damage, escalating move speed, the fact that you can gain range and just fly around these fights while dealing fast, insane damage in an area of effect. It's just like the champion that you can put into these 1-3-1 comps and be super happy about it. And you're always going to be the highest damage character in the end of the game, just by function of how the champion works, how she's going to be able to splash that damage. Until they completely neuter that, she's still going to have that identity. No more static Shiv build, but that's okay. That's okay. Static Shiv is a dead item. We went over it in the play-in stage. Static Shiv basically being nerfed into the ground, which was mandatory. Freak overbuffed it, wanted it to be his pet thing. It's like, hey, look how good this thing is. People still aren't playing it. Let me buff it again. Let me buff it again. And then it took that long to go back, draw it back, all the way to the point where no one could possibly play it. Ooh, Cassante over the wall. Scout able to dodge using R2 to get to the far side. You get the all-out from Cassante, but not quite enough to get it. The fact that Lee Sin showed up draws the end of that fight. Now, do we have supportal combat in the bot lane? No, we have all 4 people down there. We'll see if Knight's able to tag this. Is she going to go for it? Zigga actually getting bluffed off of the recall. Scared of the command Shockwave. We're going to see level 11 spikes coming in soon from Orianna. And once she does, she's going to be a problem. I like this rotation here. Cassante going and teleporting mid because you already have Orianna on the wave. You don't need anything better than this. Not to mention that, but you'd rather have Cassante against Akali at this stage in the game than the Orianna versus her because we have that kill threat. We did end up seeing the early Sork shoes from Akali. Interesting from here, we've got Orianna with Crown of the Shattered Queen and developing a little bit of a CS lead and a kill and assist lead as well. So Orianna should be pretty big in this game. It looks like we're going to get Shadow Flame as well. This might be a Zhonya's, but probably Shadow Flame. I like to see Orianna's building extra AP for damage early, but generally we want to see Rabadon's second because the shield size just gets to be a huge problem. And the shield, when it's most valuable in the game, is at that second item spike. So at that 21-minute mark, more or less, when you're fighting maybe for third dragon, that's when you want the shield. The raw value of the shield is at its greatest at that point. Beautiful flash. Good path there from Lee Sin to be able to jump this. Ruler turning around. Why did you turn to deal damage there? Perhaps not realizing that he was one hit away. I actually, honestly, I couldn't see whether or not he had the passive stacked on him. There's so many visuals going on there, but that'll be interesting to see whether or not that was just Kaisa's 5th hit. Probably because of the Lee Sin kick plus the Alistar follow-up from Hong means that was probably just the execute coming through. But I do want to see it. It might have been a combination of several things, right? Kraken Slayer on top of the rest. Now we are going to get a Chemtech map, which is very good for your fighters, your bruisers. It's going to be a lot better for the Adam type champions, right? The Garen, Olaf, Darius's types. Anyone who wants that extra move speed, anyone who's gated by their ability to connect. Beautiful kick. We saw this from Tarzan in their first game, that it just looked like he with the 3-man kick to clean up a fight. Just absolutely insane when you're able to do that. Oh, Oriana into Akali. Beautiful, using the shockwave to pull her into the middle so that they can take that damage. We see flash forward, but it does mean that she's going to bite the dust. Taking a second turret shot, Tarzan's going to be able to clean this up because that guy is clean AF. Who's the better Tarzan? NA Tarzan or LNG Tarzan? Korea Tarzan? Who do you guys like more? NA Tarzan says he's the best jungler in the world. Not so certain. Mentally, I think he's got it down. He checks all the boxes. He knows the clear times of every single jungler and what the different paths are, but I don't know that he can get that mechanical play the way that LNG just was able to manifest that kill. Anyways, going into the middle stages of the game, you're going to see rotations. Bot lane rotates to mid. We're going to have a push here. They're going to be fighting constantly for mid lane prio, and whoever wins it gets to gain control of the north side river. Now, this control ward is a huge asset. You can stick Alistar into that bush, or someone like a Camille or a Lee Sin who has a lot of threat coming out, means that they can hold prio for that mid lane, make it a little bit more scary. Now, of course, Zeri is one of the best champions in the game, actually just straight up the best AD carry at these standoffs, fighting for mid prio. She's got the AoE clear, and she's able to jump over walls if she needs to. Unfortunately, she has to choose which one to do, right? You either E forward and you rip the wave apart, or you save your E and you have it ready for your escapes. Now, JDG saying, all right, congratulations, you guys won the river and you moved over there, but we're actually going to hold this joint. Now that you're coming, we control this junction. We're going to force you to come into us, and in the meantime, we're able to get some damage onto the turret. That is impactful. I wish they had done it a little bit sooner, and I wish that they had sent someone to bot lane as well, because 4 champions should have been able to hold it. Oh, the shockwave actually not quite placed right in the middle of that, so it doesn't pull her right in, kind of jumps her over. She only had a moment where she's in vision. We have that turret shot. Kanavi was the one that took the other one, but beautifully played by Tarzan, not missing a frame there. Mechanics, by the way, anyone who has thought about mechanics, what is good definition for what is mechanic? It's your ability to take what your brain can see your champion doing and put it onto the screen. We saw basically flawless mechanics there from Tarzan. We saw it from Scout earlier with the animation cancels. These guys never spend any longer on any animation than they need to. They're canceling all the time. Most times you can right click your way out. Sometimes you can use different abilities or activated abilities. One of the more notorious ones right now is Renekton with Iron Spike Whip, where you can cancel your W animations with your R. You can cancel animations with Iron Spike Whip. It's actually a huge part of what makes these Renektons better than your Renekton. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you subscribe to the channel and we'll let you know all about it. Now, coming up, Zeri is always going to have this advantage, right? Moving up, we see a Storm Razor. This is probably going to be Navori Quickblades, and then we'll probably see Runan's Hurricane after that to get the most amount of spray damage in the fights. They took away the Sheen interaction, so you're not going to have any Triforce Zeris, although Triforce is just that much stronger than every other item on the patch. That said, these guys don't seem to like building it. There are some champions that know to build it. The Dravens and Ashes have correctly picked it up, but most of these top laners are always going for the Divine Sunder. They're opting for the clarity of play, right? It's very simple and easy to see. I have this proc ready, I can use it, I heal up, that feels good, I see it. And it's sort of indicative of what good items feel like, right? When people can see the effect, that's what they perceive as a good item. But a lot of times items become better when they have hidden effects, right? When you have extra ancillary effects like Black Cleaver, when you had ZZ Rot, when you had Command, Banner of Command, right? All these things that just give little bonuses, even Ardent Sensor and items like that tend to be much stronger than they appear. You end up seeing people build items like Redemption, even if they're not the most winningest item. But Trinity Force kind of falls into that. Like, you see your Sheen proc, but you don't see the stacking value of the attack speed and the 3 consecutive hits onto one target, giving you the extra steroid for your attack damage. Trinity Force is basically just insanely strong, even if you don't have that synergy there. You still have it on your auto attack, right? You can still go with Zeri and build it that way. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. She's going Navori. It looks like we're going to get Shadow Flame done from Orianna. Since we have an AD build here, we're basically going 2 3/4 champions that are dealing physical damage. That means Orianna's going to get the most value out of this Shadow Flame. Also, we have a couple shields, right? Shield. So a couple of things to chew through. Getting the 100% or the 100% of the value of the Shadow Flame from those. But I absolutely want to see the Rabadons. There are worlds where you just buy the Amp Tome and then kind of sit. And just like I had 500 gold, but if I get 1100 gold, you can, in some situations, sell this item and say, all right, it was fun to rent it. I rented it for a little bit. It had some value. Now I'll pick up the needlessly large rod, but it looks like we're actually going to go into another item. I have to assume that this is Zhonya's. At this point, you've got enough damage right here. You have to play for a defensive item next and pick up Zhonya's to make sure that you don't just get popped by Akali, singled out by Camille, or kicked backwards by Lee Sin. Now, an interaction that could come up that can be tragic if it's done poorly, but can also be very good. Camille Hextech Ultimatum with Lee Sin kick. You will still get trapped, even though they're the ones pushing you out. You'll get pushed against that wall, and they can sort of juggle you into that spot. It can help get you into position. Makes it a little bit easier to predict exactly where you're going to land for the cases of like landing E1 here, or some of the other spells from their side. Cassante finishing Iceborne Gauntlet. Looks like he's going to go straight into the Gargoyle Stoneplate, which is his favored second item. It just allows you to stay into fights so much longer. It also lets you front. And combining with the stats from Orianna's shield, it should give him just a massive frontline pressure, allowing them to play front to back. Vi is going to start changing into peel mode or isolation, right? If I find Akali overstepping, or Camille, or even Kai'Sa, all three of them are fairly squishy. There are worlds where you might isolate these champions, and Vi is no longer going to look for the like reach, pick, engage. She might, but often she's going to be looking for just Cassante to just be that wall, and then she wants to punish and get the area of effect knock back effect of the ultimate. But you also have this synergy right here. Orianna into Vi is basically guaranteed shockwave whenever you want it. So we'll see whether or not they go for that, whether or not they goes on either one. It'll be interesting to see which one they prioritize and which one they shoot for. Now we start seeing LNG breaking the game into this 1v1-3-1 that we were talking about, right? Individually, they're all kill Orianna. So Ori can't really exist in a side lane for more than just push the wave and get out. Now you see this control ward that they've left behind here. This is meant to be an exploitation of Orianna's side lane. If Ori ever steps out to try to go for a wave here, for example, if Akali were here and Ori were to step out, you'd see an instant TP from Camille, and they'd sandwich her and try to get her dead in this corner of the map. It is her responsibility to just take this wave, clear it as quickly as possible, and get out. That is exactly what she's doing. Camille has got 2/3 of her Ravenous Hydra. She has a big spike on this item. We'll see whether or not she can take over in the side lanes. I expect that this giga-sized frontline in the form of 369's Cassante holding the Ignite as well to make sure that he can get Prio in the side lanes, clear it just fine, and then go over a rejoin for his team with the Gargoyle Stoneplate once it's completed. I think he's going to have such an easy time holding this team down, like front to back. Who's actually dealing damage to him? Is Lee Sin just gonna like kick him into the rest of the team? I don't think so. It's Camille trying to flank and then deal with the all out? I don't think so. It's kind of difficult to work your way around this champion, and it shows like one of the big strengths that he has, especially once you have this. You can choose to use it, stay tank mode, just be a big tanky boy, and then have a huge shield. Also, we're talking about big shield bashes. All right, shield bash is very common onto Cassante, and especially in this game where you're going to get Lulu and Orianna that might be buffing you up, you might be able to go for proactive plays. Now check out this Baron. They're first to the river. They're able to take this. Lee Sin almost coming in, has the Q2 plus execute, but is not able to beat the smite from Vi. And look at this damage, the AoE damage from Zeri, just ripping people apart, plus the Orianna damage. This is exactly the kind of fight that JDG wants. And the story of the tournament so far is teams taking fights that their comp doesn't belong in, right? And this is something that sometimes you could just chalk it up to draft diff. But sometimes you have to just say, what is our team? What are we good at? We're good at 1-3-1, pick them apart and move them side across the map. You don't want this 5v5. Even though it's for Baron, you just don't want this fight. You're better off continuing to play towards your team's narrative. They end up paying the iron price for it, for the attempt. And we'll see in slow motion right here. Q1, Q2 is normally one of the best executes in the game. 2,400 health is when they tend to go for it. It looks like I actually didn't see it under 1,500 health. So it might have been that Q2 plus both smites landed at the exact same time. And Vi just anticipated that damage. Beautiful knockbacks from Cassante, using all out right away to get that extra damage. And you see how he turns it off? Turn it off immediately. You don't want to spend any more time. Now that you've done your job, boom, get back into tank mode. And now he'll have Gargoyle Stoneplate. This game's going to be very, very difficult for LNG to win. Even if they were to get Soul, all they'd be doing is putting Elder on the map for JDG to fight with their team fight comp. By coming over and escorting Ori to the side lane, we're going to see adjacent lane pushes. All right, so we're going to check out what is JDG's technique, but we always see it's the same thing. You're going to put generally your strongest group here, and then you're going to put your split pusher here. Once you break inhibitor, it's going to flip, but they're going to put all their numbers in and gain control of this quadrant of the map. Best way to answer, especially with the Baron down and the fact that you lose team fights, is to give this. All right, you should just give this entire turret, give them the inhibitor, and do what Camille's doing, which is put pressure in another lane. Force them to commit further into the base. If they're willing to go after this turret, then you can go for a fight and say, all right, battle us against our two turrets. That's exactly what they look to be doing. They might just be trying to bait the Camille to come back, but no, we're talking about Ruler dealing massive damage. Camille is sticking to this turret, going for the inner tier 2s. I like this. This is what you should be doing, right? Raise their heart rate, make them jump up, but now you have to come back. This has to be the window. They're in base and they're committing. Lee Sin looking for the engage, does not get the kickoff. He's picked up and juggled in the bounce house, which means that JDG is going to be able to take this whole fight. We see Cassante's strength using all out and immediately putting the Gargoyle Stoneplate out, means that there's very little counterplay. He did use it fairly early though, which means that we've got Akali dealing massive amounts of damage back. They end up trading off Zonias to juggle the oh no, to juggle the aggro under the turret. Alistar, was that really a missed headbutt pulverized at this stage? Man, that's tough. That's tough. But you know what? JDG played a clean game. Very nicely done. And they'll move into game 2. They're one game closer to the promos. Let's see game 2.